All right, hello and welcome to what I believe should be the 13th episode of the MUN Command Podcast. Is it?
Alex, we should make it a habit and check it before we start recording.
I think it's going to be a running gag that we never do that. Sitting opposite to me is the man himself, the legend, wearing his Munica sweater, Jonas. Bruins, welcome back to, well, my living room.
Thanks very much, Alex. Sitting opposite to me, and my pleasure in, chilling finally back again in Außenstelle Durlach, as we call it, which to non-native Germans, what would that be? How would you translate that?
It's
a very unique term. It's like the Durlach office. Durlach is the place.
Branch.
All right, Alex, what's on for today?
What's on for today? I think we have two main exciting topics.
All right.
Number one is getting people back up to speed with what's been happening on the mymun front. Just because, well, it's been a good month, I think.
And stuff, is really picking up there.
Stuff is picking up. We have the workshop, the mymun workshop, coming up in little time, next weekend, I think.
We'll talk about that.
And then we'll get you up to speed with an exciting project that's been happening on the MUN Command front.
Peach tea.
Peach tea. Well, that's, what's up with peach tea. So stay tuned for that. And I think we're going to start by talking about mymun, aren't we? So if you think back to last time,
it's about 4 weeks, huh?
I think it's a good 4 weeks. And back then, I think we were proud that we was able to set up the workshop page. Since then, obviously, a good couple of things have happened, and we've done a lot more with mymun than we had at that point.
But it's I don't think that much, visible change there is already. So in case you check at mymun.com, please don't expect, a big, massive relaunch that has happened in the last 4 weeks. It has mainly been
team page.
Yeah, the team. Well, yeah, that's actually true.
And cleaning up some of the things.
That's right. But also, I think we're getting more and more familiar day after day with the whole software stack and how things come together. Yeah. So I'm proud to say that we were able to answer the first questions that arrived at our email ourselves, which is great. So just being able to help people that struggle with mymun, that's also an early good feeling.
Yeah, so a couple of things that have also happened, I think, that are quite interesting on the mymun side is, for one, well, it's a lot of small things, really.
I mentioned the support thing because people have noticed it. The support thing.
So what they had on mymun, I think, for years now in the organizer section, where it was like the support navigational tab that was labeled as coming soon.
Coming soon was a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so that was a couple of weeks ago. So what we just did, we're like, oh, this is coming soon. Let's make it come today. So we added the support email address day. It's not like a fancy support module.
But people have noticed it. I can't remember who it was, but there was someone who told us, hey guys, finally there's something there. And I was like, damn, they actually noticed.
You talked to somebody, I think, was it Egon maybe?
It might have,
and they were like, oh, there's this coming soon thing. And you were like, oh, check on the homepage, check back. So yeah, we have the email there, and we also have the WhatsApp business, quote unquote business, just a second WhatsApp account I have, which is linked there, where you can get in touch. And I think the day after I put it on there, I got a message from Nikki from Greece. Sweet. Got in touch there, mentioning a support thing. So just in case you have any struggles, working with the interface there, for now, at least you can get in touch with us easily, which is really important to us always. I think another thing on the mymun front that's been interesting is that we've got it finally, I think, running on your computer, which I'm not sure that was the case before.
Oh yeah, with a bloody Linux.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, that
was fun.
Oh no.
Yeah. I remember falling asleep to you trying to install it just before we did the last podcast.
Well, finally I got it running. I got it up and running, and so I could technically start fixing stuff.
Yeah. We did some restructuring as well on the sort of technical side in a sense that it was essentially two separate apps or two separate app projects that were running in mymun that were sort of tied together, and it was really difficult to work on both of them in parallel, because you had to really push updates on one thing and then update the reference and things, and it was really difficult. And before we now actually start to get to work on things, we now, mostly Alex, put things together in such a way that we can really work with it easily.
That's right. And I mean, again, it's changes that don't affect you as a user directly.
Yeah. Hopefully not in the first step.
Ideally not. But just be aware that, behind the scenes, stuff, we are starting to pick up.
Yeah. And so what we're doing that now to sort of lay the groundwork for us to then have it a lot easier over time than once we get some processes redesigned, because obviously we're not designing on the app live. We'll be designing, doing prototypes, and then putting it out there once we feel like we're ready. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe that's an interesting thing to talk about, is our strategy night we had a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
Where we sat down with the entire team. We even had Melina join us there, who's helping us out with the workshop for now.
Shout out to Melina.
Just in case you are listening on the off chance. So we did that, and there we sort of created for ourselves also a bit of an outlook for what we want to do within the scope of this year, and sort of the individual quarters of this year, and also looking into the next years. And we looked at what we want to approach there within the different sections. So like be it product, be it sort of our reach in the world, the markets or the conferences, the type of conferences rather that we want to talk to and engage with.
Podcast listeners.
Yeah, we made a goal of doing like 2 workshops. I wrote it down, at least 2 workshops a month. No, not workshops, podcasts a month.
Oh, wow, 2 a month?
I wrote that somewhere.
Well, you guys better, make some time in your schedules.
You strap in, make some time in your schedules, and the gin factory, please. I don't know how they make gin. But
we should find out.
Launch the machines.
Well, anyways. Yeah, I mean, the strategy stuff is still like rather abstract.
Do you know from the top of your head, like on what we were planning to do in terms of product?
Well, I could surely check it on the iPad.
Yeah, I'm just trying to open it right now.
And it's again something we should have probably prepared starting this podcast episode.
Oh no, it was like
here you go.
Oh, I've got it. Well, here, quarterly crossing. So we decided to do like quarterly things where we catch up with each other where we are. So I think the focus for now was on next quarter. So I think so. It's the first big focus. So obviously we want to revisit the entire process, the entire system of mymun, having in mind the ideas of making conferences more accessible to delegates and making them easier to host for organizers.
Which is not that easy after all. It's a huge, not huge. It's on Facebook, but
yeah,
considering we're 4 students just starting to pick this up,
right?
It's not too small of a project
with a good few other commitments in our life as well. And so this is, obviously there's a lot to do, and part of it is that we want to revisit the whole thing, be it in terms of how the pricing works, what is priced, how it is priced.
What's the actual offering?
What is the offering? And how does it tie in with the different offers there are? Obviously, they used to have the insurance stuff, travel stuff that we've for now just ripped out completely.
Partially because no one can travel anyways.
Yeah, and also because we can't sell insurance, and we're not really interested in doing that at the moment.
No, I mean, I see the synergies, but then they're not as strong as others.
Yeah, and like, especially with the travel things, I sign up for a conference, I maybe pay right away, and then maybe I go back to mymun at one point to check on the conference, but when I decide to book a flight or when I decide to book my hotel, I'm not going to go on mymun, because I trust Booking.com. I know Booking.com is a place to go, or just Google or Airbnb, whatever. Anyway, so that's so we're going to revisit the whole scope of it, and that we will be doing obviously primarily with the workshops in mind, and doing it with the community to rethink the whole system globally speaking.
Let's dive deeper in on that. Alex, we talked about the workshop here and there and the introduction and stuff. What's the deal with the workshop that we talked about at a few instances here and there?
Yeah, so the workshop's happening next Sunday, 25th of February.
Right. 1600 CET.
1600, 4 p.m. And we have, I can actually open up the agenda here, see what we have planned. This is going to be really, really interactive. So this is going to be cool because we'll be using Miro, which is like sort of this interactive whiteboard thing. We'll also be, we'll then be doing sort of group sessions where we're going to have conversations with people about individual things, such as, what you like about mymun, what you not like about it, and also just generally about MUN and the space, globally speaking.
Your experiences, your requirements, your where's your bottleneck kind of.
Yeah. And obviously also how people want to be involved, because we want to really make this a process together with people. And it shouldn't just be about helping us improve the product, right? That's a bit dull.
That's a bit flat.
That's a bit dull and flat. This is really supposed to become an involved project for everybody. And then we'll be looking at how we're going to proceed from there. But so that this is where we're going to be starting off. And it is going to be really exciting. And you can still sign up until the day at mymun.com/future. We're really excited to see you guys there. And
we're planning to make this kind of a series. There's a vague idea. I mean, I don't want to overstate and overpromise and stuff, but if this becomes something, a success in the end, then it absolutely is on our agenda to kind of do this on a more repetitive base, be it every 3 months or 6 months or whenever, to kind of engage with real MUN leaders, veterans, legends, you name it.
Yeah.
But also just so to say, the average MUN, we need you all as this diverse group that.
I mean, ideally, we get topics out of the kickoff workshop based on which we can have future workshops. But obviously, this can also tie into our idea of doing events for the community and with the community, live events, which we had sort of dreamt of and thought of, be it like chain workshops, all that sort of thing. And maybe, this can also tie together into something that on the one side might be sort of a customer learning experience for us. And on the other side, just be like an amazing experience for the community to learn something in general.
Another thing I think we should state, just to be clear on that, the workshop on Sunday, I don't want it to be something where everyone tells us, oh, this was great and this was great. I want to have the facts. I want to have well, I'm telling that now. I mean, if you see me crying Sunday night, you'll know why. But really, I want your honest opinion. And so if you think about signing up, being German, I expect your direct response, and I'm looking forward to that.
No, it's going to be really fun. And the great thing, at least about mymun, is most of it in MUN Command. At MUN Command, we try to really look at things objectively and not be too emotionally attached when it comes to feedback. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's still us making the decisions on the product. We're not building the product by committee. So it's not like, oh, we want this, and okay, so we're going to build it. It's still us, making decisions because we have that vision. However, especially with mymun, we don't have any emotional attachment, I want to say, to the product itself.
It's not us who built it.
Because it's not us who built it. And obviously, we know some of the ideas behind some of the things that were built. But if we determine like a big picture process is just no good, we have no problem changing that. And in fact, we're looking forward to doing it, and it's really just about how we're going to do it rather than if.
All right, Alex, we talked about mymun quite a bit.
I want to quickly just mention, because we jumped into the workshop before we actually went into looking what we planned for in this quarter in terms of the product. Right. And our focus here, I remembered it as I saw it, was taking two of the main processes that you have in mymun, that is applying to a conference or signing up to a conference
as a delegate,
and also creating a conference and submitting that on mymun
as an organizer.
Yep. And redesigning those from the ground up to make them more efficient, easier to understand, more bulletproof in the sense that you don't break it as easily.
And also, if you set up, so right now mymun is super hyper customizable. but it's not intuitive on how to customize it. So from what I've heard and read in the feedback, it often so happened that you set up the registration in such a fancy way that people get lost in it. And so we really want to improve them, make the processes just lean, I guess.
Lean and mean.
Lean
startup. I wouldn't even call it a startup.
No, but like quick and easy, yeah? In the end, the benchmark is a Google Forms. If it takes more clicks and time to set up a Google Forms than it takes setting up a mymun, me as an organizer, I'll take the Google Forms.
Well, you phrased it the wrong way because you said anyway. But yeah, the goal is.
Did I say it wrong? Yeah, anyways, you all know what I mean.
We want to be better than Google Forms.
That's going to be a hard one.
But on the other side, it's also about, I think, communicating very clearly that mymun is more than just applications.
That's the next thing, absolutely.
And that's a whole different world then. However, anyway, let's transition to the peach tea that we're clearly not drinking tonight, but I just bought some yesterday.
So peach tea it's the code word, Project Peach Tea. Is there any particular reason why we call it that way?
Oh yeah, there is a reason to why we call it peach tea.
Which is it?
I like peach tea.
Oh, there we go. And I have to say, it's a wonderful peach tea you've got.
Yeah, actually, to be fair though, I don't have the good one anymore.
That's too bad.
I do have one, but the really good one, I ran out and it's only available at this one like supermarket in town, and I should go in lunch break.
We absolutely should. Yeah. Now, talking about the actual, substance of it.
Yeah, so peach tea is code name for Project MUN Command, and that
finally you don't need us stupid bunch to give you access to MUN Command.
Yeah.
Because we want you guys to just go, yeah, in the good way. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be able to just set up your conference and start. And you shouldn't just need to send an email and then we set up something and then we set up a call and whatnot. So what we envision is that, and envision sounds so far away. It's happening in the next days or something.
Yeah.
That you go to mymuncommand.com, you set up your conference right there yourself, and you can start. You can have what did we say? 10 users in your conference.
Yep.
And you can freely choose. Is it organizers, is it chairs, is it delegates, is it admins? And only then when you hit the 10 delegates, you ought to upgrade to so to say buy more slots.
Yeah.
And that's quite exciting.
Yeah. So maybe as a bit of context, the way it worked until now,
right.
If you wanted to use MUN Command, the conference app for your conference, you'd email us and we'd usually set up a meeting where we talk for half an hour or an hour. And we'd set up a conference for you, and then you'd get back to us with confirming everything. And so it wasn't really efficient and not scalable. And that was a conscious decision by choice. Because
I love it. And I hope that those talks won't fade, because I just love in a time when you cannot travel. I can't even go to France. It's like 20 kilometers away, and I probably should go there. We can mentally just, have a call with someone in whatever, Sao Paulo, and they tell me how the beach is in Sao Paulo.
It's crazy.
And that's crazy. A rich engagement there.
Yeah.
But it's not scalable.
Yeah, it's not scalable. It's not efficient, neither for the people nor for us, because, even for the pricing, they had to have a call with us and go through all of that. And then we'd be like, okay, so this is the pricing. And then, we'd go from there. So now what will be possible is that you just see the price on the homepage, and
which is
€1 per delegate, €1 per user per day.
Right.
So quite simple, very straightforward. So as Jonas said, you're going to be able to even access the conference app straight from our homepage. Previously, that was one issue, obviously, because we were still in such limited beta that you would only get the link to the conference in your invite email. And that obviously was a bit of an annoyance and a barrier.
We got to explain that this was done on purpose because we wanted this close back and forth. Also to get a lot of feedback and identify the bottlenecks and have a personal relation with the people using it.
And not have a product out there which is broken, which people just like, we wouldn't want you to go out there and set up your own conference and realize the product is useless and broken. And we wanted to wait until a point where we were confident enough that, the product that is out there is maybe not perfect yet. Certainly not. But it's really a point where you can confidently use it at a conference. And roll with it. It's
like seeing a child. Well, I don't know from first-hand experience, but this is what I would imagine. Seeing a child growing up, and this is like the first day in school when you got to let go.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk maybe specifically about what exactly this update is going to look like.
Let's talk about
the PHT update. So PHT update, obviously, it's going to be also beta. We want to keep that caveat.
Well, we call them all beta because we're too afraid.
Let's give it a couple more conferences before we call it a non-beta. But so what you're going to be seeing is, and this was really cool. So for one, we changed the homepage.
Yeah.
And this was really exciting. Like looking at it yesterday, there's now the upgrade page and all the links are working, so you can actually launch.
It's not live yet.
It's not live yet. It's only on our test-like system. But you can open the app straight out of there, and there's like a pricing thing and the upgrade tab, and we updated the roadmap and everything, and there's not just like a contact us or coming soon thing. It's like go launch the app.
It's no more, how do you say, like a like just a welcome web page to just be like announcing something.
It's the hub to get it done.
It's the place.
Yeah. So you can get straight out of there. There's instructions on how you can set up your conference. There's actually even logins if you want to just use our demo conference to play around without creating an account. So you don't have to give up any of your data, which is fun. And then, from there, at the moment, it's going to you're going to have to still like write us an email and be like, look, I want 100 slots for this weekend. And that's obviously, we can just make that happen, send you the invoice. Looking a bit further down the road, obviously, we're looking to have a web shop there. But at the moment, it's just going to be a bit more work. And we're still sort of figuring out whether we want to make the web shop happen in the context of the MUN Command page, or whether we manage to have it run through the mymun side of it, or...
We'll see.
We'll see. It's just going to be a bit more work, and we wanted to get it out the door. So for now, it's going to be just an email telling us how many slots you want for what weekend, and that's fine. So that's the website side of it. What's the app side of it looking like?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know how many updates we talked about. Have we talked about the Christmas update so much?
I think we talked a fair bit about the question amendments and things like that.
We did, but one thing that just comes to my mind, last weekend there was a conference in York, UK, using MUN Command, and we talked to the winner of the Best Delegate Award. Congratulations to Yara, as we correctly forecasted with our statistics.
There was one. Yeah, we kept looking at the conference statistics throughout the weekend, and it was fun to see how the delegates are performing and to then guess who's going to be best delegate.
And we talked to the best delegate, and she gave us some good feedback. One thing that shoots to my mind was that when you raise your hand in a mod, and she was UK, and U is quite down there in the alphabet, so. If she was to raise your hand, no one would see because she was all the way down to the list. So what did we do? If you raise your hand, you shoot up to the top of the list, and the chair can add you to the moderated caucus straight away.
Yep.
One more thing. It's not yet tested, and we'll see how good it goes because, well, I built that in like a bit of a, nighttime action.
Nighttime action?
It's not a proper word.
That's true. This is light action these days. Well, building a new filtered list.
Well, here was my nighttime action from the other day. Not as exciting as it sounds. It's COVID. It's lockdown. So it was solely giving you the ability to not only upload a document, but to share a link to Google Docs.
Oh God!
Yeah, we haven't tested it, so don't expect it to, But Yara mentioned it, and I thought that'd be cool. It shouldn't be too hard. We should give it some final touches.
Yeah.
But
You see, friends, now Jonas mentioned this like a couple of times now, and in conversations that we had with conferences that are interested in other people, and he's always like talking about it, super excited, and then afterwards I come in and be like, don't get your hopes up. This is not tested. I was against it. Well, I wasn't exactly against it. I just had reservations. And I think this is an interesting example of the democracy in our team, where you just went ahead and
because
finally you can, and you just built it. And now we have to test it and make sure it looks okay, because I haven't actually taken a look at it.
And we need some better UX aspects there. We'll talk about that later tonight or tomorrow or something.
First off, though, peach tea. What is the peach tea of it, side of it, going to look like for the admins when that update comes out? How are admins going to know about the slots? How does that look for in the conference app?
So we have a tab system where you have different tabs. One of them is the home tab. On there, you'll, as of now, see statistics and this and that. But also now you will see how many chairs have you already invited, how many delegates, organizers, and admins.
Right.
AKA, how many slots have you used? And you will see how many slots you have bought. So assuming you have bought 100 slots and you've invited delegates, chairs, blah, 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 all in all 90 people, you see that you have 10 slots left. Now you can either say, all right, I'm expecting another 40 people to sign up. So so to say, reserve them in advance. But also the moment you hit the last slot, or the last slot is empty, is occupied, and you want to add more people, just a window will pop up telling you, hey, if you want to add more people, click here, reach out to us, and this way it'll work. Now here's the thing that we were how to say considering or like thinking about debating a bit was what's a slot,
right?
And we feel that a slot is one user account. The thing is that in MUN Command, you can have a country without having an associated user account.
Yep.
This is the case, for example, if there's delegates that don't have a phone, for some reason, why not?
Yeah.
And so those don't count as a slot. So you may have 50 countries, but only 10 slots occupied. That might work. Now the thing is, I'm getting quite into the details here. I guess that's what podcasts are for. I reckon. Don't know.
Yeah, I think so. We're like 28 minutes. We have plenty of time.
All right. So when you have slots and you add countries, we assume that for each country you add, you will want to add a user account. So when you have them in the, so to say, add country section, they will count as reservations, but they will only count as occupied once the slot is actually taken. I know this sounds quite complicated. You'll find it out yourself, and if not, you'll just give me a call and tell me, hey, Jonas, what you thought about was crap.
Yeah, and like this version of the peach tea,
it's rough.
It doesn't have to be the final version, right? So if you have any feedback, let us know. Because I mean, I just remember, I think the best example of it is the registration login system, which
we did a massive overhaul there.
Exactly, and it was amazing.
It's so paid off. Should we recap that quickly?
Yeah.
We had a minute.
I don't even remember how it was in the beginning.
In the beginning, it was that we have a token.
Oh, the dedicated links.
And so the way it would work is that the link you had was like conference.muncommand.com/ and then it would be like $T equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So that was a specific link that you got in your email address.
And everyone messed it up and was confused and whatnot. So now we, instead of putting it into the URL, we just, send it big and blunt. And so technically it's more work for you as a delegate, but the fact that it's so much more transparent and understandable results in the fact that when in the beginning we had about, I want to say 5% of the people signing up had issues with it. I can't recall the last time someone had issues logging in.
It's super solid and super reliable, which is awesome.
This is truly awesome.
And this is one of the examples. So if with PHT we realize the way it's communicated or the way we count the slots in the conference app doesn't really work, we can just change it. And I reckon we're going to do some change to it anyway.
I hope so.
I think so. I think this talks about most of the things that happen on the MUN Command side. I something came into my head just now, and I want to talk about this because this is something I've been almost passionate about. I want to say in MUN.
You want to open up, Alex?
I want to open up. No, I saw an email from a conference the other day, and they talked about the policy for electronic devices during usage during the conference.
I think I know which one.
Do you know which one?
Is it a very big one?
Yeah,
organized but very prestigious.
It's a very big one. Like they're good business partners of ours, or business partners already.
Of mymun.
They're good partners of mymun, and I'm so impressed with what they've been doing over the last years. And obviously, there is a reason to every policy, and that is going to be valid. And there's different flavors and cultures of MUN. And like what we've seen with the Americans that we talked to just yesterday, who have like a really substantive focused conference, which is amazing because
man, that was cool.
I've been to so many conferences where I just like read the resolutions the week before and that was good to go.
Shout out to Swiffle Moon, Southwest Florida MUN. Sign up now and get your ticket.
If that's possible, I'm not actually sure how their applications work. Anyway, they'll be using a MUN Command, and they're really, really cool because they're really substantively focused. Anyway, that other conference with a name and the email, their policy is that you're not allowed to do any research on your electronic devices during the conference. And if you have the suspicion as a delegate that one of your co-delegates is doing research on the electronic devices during the conference, and you should report that such suspected behavior to the chairs, that being during an online conference. Now, whilst it almost feels a bit comedic that at an online remote virtual conference, that's the policy, I guess, obviously, again, there's probably a bunch of reasons why you'd have that policy. I always felt like, let people research, let people do whatever
Alex,
they want.
I can tell you, I've been to that conference when they organized it in a Central American country in 20...
You're giving it all away, to say it.
Something.
Tell me, how was it?
It was pretty cool. It was wild. Like the socials were mad. The point I wanted to make here, though, is you just use your electronic devices, and like I did we all did in high school, and there's rules, but
they're meant to be broken.
Well, to me, if a teacher would tell me, you must not cheat in an exam, to my ears, it always sounded like you must not be caught cheating in an exam.
Yeah.
Not incentivizing anyone, and there's, all the how there's disclaimers and whatnot, but
I guess I always just had like a bit of a liberal view to MUN, where, it's at the end of the day, it's delegates' responsibility to take care of themselves.
That's right.
And if they just spend their time researching and looking up things on Wikipedia, they're not going to be listening, they're not going to be engaging with the debate, they're not going to be in that close touch with their fellow co-delegates, and that's not going to get them the best delegate. And that's democracy, I think. But I just found that so funny, and like, I don't know.
United Nations is not democracy, though.
It is not. But so I don't know. It just takes me back to looking at like when I was in MUN, and you see like some of those rules where you're like, well, this feels a bit,
But you see, maybe there's a certain point that we just haven't grasped fully.
Yeah, and also I think it is part of MUN that you have some of those slightly over the top rules where, we wouldn't have to wear a suit. We wouldn't have to wear a tie. But I would, as a chair, always remind my delegates to wear a tie. And I think maybe that's one of those things that just build that environment, that sort of...
it fosters kind of like, content, debate, where people listen to each other's arguments and stuff. Not sure how United Nations, are about listening to each other and arguments.
Do you reckon, so General Assembly, or like, they didn't really have debates, but do you reckon, like, at debates, do they actually even have debates at the UN? I don't think they really do. Actually.
Alex, you know what? We should
know this.
Not only know that, but try to. When the whole COVID thing is over, we're gonna go to New York and freaking attend one of those.
Yeah, I mean, so I know the UNGA is like
they're just not really
a series of speeches, right? They're not debating. But we should definitely get somebody on the podcast to get an insight into that.
If you're listening to this podcast and you have any idea how Alex and myself can
figure out how the UN works,
and get our asses into the UNHQ just for an afternoon listening, let us know. Send us an email.
But I think, I'd reckon, so for example, City Council, like they're having actual debates.
I could imagine.
So they're not all their sessions are public. And so I'd reckon they have like actual debate-ish type of things, because they also only have 15 people, and then you have like whoever the ambassador to the UN sitting in the front, or like so I think they're having debates. But then again, those sessions are so top level, they wouldn't be checking their phones and Wikipedia things about details about the different.
No, they just know their shit.
They also know their shit. And
if they don't know their shit, they're just gonna ask their assistant.
So our point was like, at the UN, do you have people sitting there who's like Googling stuff about the countries, or like the facts for the session right now? And even if it's not the ambassadors, is it their assistants like trying to figure shit out on like CIA facts?
I know Chancellor Merkel. She's on her phone like half the time in the plenary.
So who's that Seehofer guy?
Who's that Seehofer?
That was a very German joke.
Well, I guess Seehofer. He's not anymore, but he used to be the minister president of Bavaria, which is a bit weird of a state. But I must not make too critical comments, because we're supporting Bavaria and with MUN Command.
Right. And surely they're very closely attached to their...
And they're from Nuremberg. And Nuremberg is Franconia, which is not Bavaria, but it's...
So they're like the Asterix and Obelix from their...
I don't know. We should ask them.
I don't know. We don't know nothing about the world. We always pretend like we know MUN, and now we don't even know how the UN works.
Well, now I think we're diving real deep.
I think we should have more of those like conversations on the podcast rather than just talking about a product.
I've got an idea. So those listening, let us know what's your thoughts on Alex and me inviting guests.
Yeah,
we haven't invited guests for a long time.
We haven't, because it's also a bit of a hassle, and with the microphone situation, I would love. So mymun, we at mymun have sort of a cooperation going with the UNHCR, which you can see on the mymun homepage. So you can actually debate UNHCR topics, and then they're going to look at your resolutions, and there's going to be like a reward, I think, for best resolution.
It's the refugee challenge.
Yeah. So maybe it would be fun to get like a UNHCR rep on the podcast, and
or Unidoc or something.
What?
Drugs?
Drugs and crime thing.
That one.
Yeah. I think that would be really fun, because that would allow us to actually learn something about the UN.
Man, that's... All right, get excited for the podcast episodes to come.
Yeah, so you have to stay tuned, and then it's going to take us like a year for them to get them on the podcast.
Well, that
just means you're going to have to listen to the next 12 episodes.
You see, I'll be interning at strategy consulting in Vienna, and actually their office is right next door to the Unidoc. So knock
on the door. You can also check with the IAEA. They're also in Vienna.
Well, now that President Biden is renegotiating Iran things, maybe they're busy, but we'll see.
Or he's going to swing by. He's going to be meeting, be like, "Yeah, Joey, what's up, mate?
Hey, next episode
with Joey B.
Joey B."
All right, I think we're bantering enough now.
Yeah.
Let's just have one more sip of that gin.
Actually, if you could choose, would you have Joe Biden or Kamala Harris? I'm not going to say.
I think it would be fun to have a gin tonic with Joe Biden.
I got to say, I find Kamala Harris quite cool. Like, she's so cool. Kamala Harris, if you're listening.
I think, I don't know, the vibes Barack Obama though had with Joe Biden. I mean,
beyond.
He must be pretty chill.
Beyond.
And he's quite folksy, Biden, from the feel of it. Like,
I'm still occupied with the Obama book. What's it called?
A Promised Land. This is really good. So if anybody's listening, so I actually kind of stopped listening.
Finished?
No, because I listened to the mom test now as like sort of an in-between thing. And I always listen to the Obama book when I was driving skiing and back. And because the snow had been gone and now it was too cold for me to go on skiing, I kind of stopped listening to it. But it's really good. I think I'm like 7 or 10 hours into it. of what is it?
So like
of like so I
yeah, like the first 10%.
Yeah, I think I'm like a third of or halfway through it, the audiobook, but it's really good. And like the audiobook is just like full throwback to the Obama days where you would like just listen to speeches because they were like cool.
Oh man.
And
well, I'm still reading, so I'm like 5% through.
Yeah. No, it's really good 10%. Though. It's really good, and especially like so it really got me excited again about the UN and everything, and it got me thinking about ordering an Economist subscription, and again just getting back into things, and maybe it goes into a whole different thing, but I actually thought about unfollowing all news agencies on social media anyway.
In social media?
Yeah, yep. So just unfollowing everybody, and only reading The Economist on the weekends.
Darn.
Yeah, because I don't know. So I think it's also because of a book I heard. Yeah, there was another book I heard of.
We're turning into book club here, huh?
It's turning into book club, but it's called Make Time. I actually have a copy over there.
I want to say I saw it, huh?
No, it's somewhere in a. It might have been on desk earlier. Anyway, it's about how you can. So it's a bunch of tips and tricks on how you can sort of structure your day to be more productive, more efficient, still be like healthy and things, and it's really cool things and sort of some of the mindfulness stuff, but it's not like an esoterical or like radical or crazy book. It's just two guys who used to work at Google, and one of them is actually one of the guys who wrote Design Sprint.
That's
Sprint.
book.
Yeah, so it's not the Sprint book, so it's his other book. But they were just running crazy in circles, being sort of in the Silicon Valley design sprinty Google vibe, where it's just about work, and they didn't have any sort of healthy balance. And that book really shows you some interesting approaches, which is also why I'm now not drinking coffee first thing in the morning anymore.
No,
actually today I did, but they're saying there that you should only drink coffee like between 9:30ish and like 3 p.m.
So the first thing I do in the morning.
Well, for me it's like 2.5, 3 hours into the morning, but it actually seems to be kind of okay, working okay, because the way coffee works. Okay, well, this is going to be turning into the weirdest random podcast, but coffee works such that it doesn't actually wake you up.
No,
it only, if you're already awake, it keeps you from getting tired.
Shoot,
because there's like some things that like neurologically like put themselves on other things. And the coffee makes sure that they don't dock to each other. This is like on a molecular level.
If we have any biologists or stuff, please don't correct us.
No, but this is true. I remember that distinctly.
It's a fact.
It's a fact from the book, and that book they got it from a scientist, I think. No, because there's somebody else who wrote a book about coffee. Anyway, so coffee only keeps you awake if you're already awake. So if you just get up and have a coffee instantly, it's not going to help you much, because when you get up and wake up, this is when you're naturally like...
So I better eat some chocolate to get my sugar going.
Yeah, so what I did, I'm just having tea now. And then once again... Peach tea, yeah.
Peach tea.
No, it's more herbs in the morning. But yeah, so it only keeps you from getting tired. So this is... I've been talking for like 10 minutes now, I think, about random nonsense.
All right. Shall we wrap it up? And kind of get the loop back close to what we talked about.
Yeah. Should we give a quick
recap?
No. I was thinking more like what's going to happen on the MUN Command front.
Yeah, let's have like an outlook.
Yeah, outlook. So PhD is happening hopefully this week. Afterwards, hopefully the document links. And then I think there's no big rollout things anymore on the MUN Command front for a little while.
There's still plenty of to-dos, but there's none. Well, let me put it differently. We'll focus on mymun first, probably.
Yeah, and we'll be solidifying MUN Command in terms of making it more robust. And so, like, as we get feedback, making it more intuitive. But then we'll be really heavily focusing on redesigning mymun first. So you're not going to see much of that. It's going to take a couple of months, but so we'll be designing it, thinking about processes and things like that. So design doesn't mean like we'll get a pencil out and just, or like, how do you say, like, I don't know,
scribbles.
Paint. We're not going to paint it on like a canvas or anything. Yeah, but there will be a lot of thinking about processes and
And in the meantime, I'll write a bunch of exams.
Exactly. Anyway, I think let's wrap it up. It's been a lot of rambling. Thank you for hanging in there.
If you are still hanging in.
If you are still. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Together,
we're excited
to debate
better.
Commanders.
Commander out. Hello, this is the police. We report it from the neighbors that you guys are making too much noise at this late time.
Luckily, it's only 8 p.m. But I've had my neighbors complain about me before here. Or like people living underneath.
Okay.
Liza.